Black Hollow was a small mountain village where winters bit hard and the nights came too early. The forest around it stretched endlessly, with ancient pines that whispered in the wind and roots thick enough to twist a man's ankle. In the daylight, it was a picture of peace, sunlight breaking through in thin golden streams, the sound of running water weaving between the trees. But when night came, everything changed. The forest grew unnaturally silent. The birds, the crickets, even the eye. Wind seemed to vanish. The only sound was the occasional snap of a twig and the low, distant howl that made dogs hide and children cling to their mothers. The people of Black Hollow had lived with the legend for generations. They called it the night wolf, a creature as old as the forest itself, a hunter that fed only on human flesh. Some claimed it was the spirit of a man cursed for spilling his brother's blood, doomed to take the shape of a monstrous wolf until the last of his bloodline was gone. Others swore it was the devil's hound, sent to claim the souls of sinners. No one had ever killed it. No one had even wounded it. The killings always began in late autumn, when the air turned sharp and frost coated the ground. The first was always small, a lone traveler found with his throat torn open at the forest edge. Then a shepherd boy disappearing while tending sheep near dusk. By winter, the deaths came every few nights, and the bodies, what was left of them, were barely recognizable. On a night when the moon was nothing but a thin silver blade in the sky, Elias, a young hunter, heard something at his cabin door. A scratching sound, slow, deliberate. He froze, bow in hand, and stepped to the window. The sight made his breath catch. A massive wolf stood in the snow, its fur so black it seemed to drink in the moonlight. Its eyes burned a deep, unnatural gold, and its breath rose in heavy white clouds. It didn't move. It only stared at him. Then, without a sound, it turned and disappeared into the trees. The next morning, the blacksmith's eldest son was found, dead, his body dragged halfway into the forest, blood soaking the snow. The villagers held a meeting in the old church, where the air smelled of damp wood and fear. They decided to send a hunting party, 12 men armed with spears, torches, and silver-tipped arrows. They vanished into the pines that evening. Days passed. Only 3 returned, and they were never the same. They spoke little, but when they did, their words were fevered. They spoke of glowing eyes watching from the shadows, of a howl so loud it felt like it shook the trees, of a darkness that moved like smoke. The others were found scattered, torn apart, and buried shallow under snow. Still, the killings continued. Locked doors, barred windows, nothing kept it out. It seemed to enjoy the fear, drawing closer with each night, circling the village like a wolf circles wounded prey. Elias couldn't stand it anymore. His younger sister had been taken, her body never found. Vengeance drove him where fear couldn't. Stop him. He set out alone, following blood trails deep into the forest. The deeper he went, the colder it became. The trees stood so close together, they seemed to lean in and watch him. Above, the moon lit the snow in silver, turning the whole world into a strange, silent dream. Then he saw it. The wolf stepped out from between the pines, massive ribs showing under thick black fur, eyes blazing cold. It circled him slowly, each paw stepped silent despite the snow. Elias raised his bow and fired an arrow tipped with silver. The arrow passed through the creature as if it were made of smoke. In that moment, Elias understood. This was no animal. It was a spirit bound by hatred and hunger, untouchable by mortal. Weapons. The wolf lunged. Its jaws clamped down, and the forest filled with the sound of bones breaking. Snow exploded upward as the two fell, but when the flakes settled, there was no sign of the beast, only Elias's bow lying broken in the snow, and deep claw marks gouged into the frozen earth. That night, The villagers heard a howl unlike any before, longer, louder, and closer. The air itself seemed to shiver. The people knew it meant one thing. The night wolf had grown bolder. Even now, generations later, the people of Black Hollow do not walk the forest after dark. And when the wind rattles the cabin windows, they whisper a prayer, because they know the shadow in the pines is still hunting.